Hey everybody, this is Dust for Dust on Gaming with a quick test run of Sound and working on a slightly different version of Burn. This is a slightly updated take on Foz's claim to fame Undying Evil Burn list. So, new edition, Sovereign's Bite, so I'm therefore calling it Sovereign Burn, Sovereign Burnimate, or however you want to refer to it. It's basically a red-black burn deck with Sovereign's Burn, Bite, and Claim to Fame as the big differences between this and traditional burn. You also have Vexing Devil here, which pairs nicely with Claim to Fame. So your opponent's either taking a hit for 4, or they put a 4/3 on the table. In addition, you have Monastery Swift Spear, Goblin Guide, and Eidolon of the Great Revel, all pair nicely with that. One of Become Immense is kind of a get you card since you're already splashing green for Destructive Revelry in the sideboard. Beyond that, you got the black burn spells, Bump of the Night, in addition to Lava Spike and Bolt. So you're a little more mana efficient than traditional burn. So we'll see how that plays out. You do have less answers to early creatures, as you only have Lightning Bolt and Searing Blaze in the main deck to go up against smaller creature decks, so we'll see how that plays out. Because Sovereign's Bite only targets player, and then Searing Blaze, obviously a great card in creature matchups. Sovereign's Bite here, Sorcery Speed, kind of Lightning Helix targeting only your opponent. Sideboard is a mixture of cards. Got Searing Bloods and Fatal Pushes for small creature decks and creature decks in general. Skullcracked for against anti-life gain measures. Sovereign's Bite in racing situations like against other burn decks. Twisted Firecraft for things like Death Shadow and Control. Dark Confidant for grindier matchups. Couple Destructive Revelries for artifacts and enchantments. So we'll play a match or two, see how this goes. This is obviously kind of an experimental version of Burn. Only going to play a couple 2-man queues with it. Well, at least one 2-man queue, maybe 2. So I don't have a ton of time here. These matches should be pretty quick though, so hopefully we'll get in at least 2 matches. But trying to fix the microphone against Pepper Lips. Alright. Hopefully we'll be on the play here. Nope, we're on the draw. Alright, this hand's pretty reasonable. Depending on what our opponent leads on themselves. Alright, so looks like we might be up against Dargons. See if our opponent chooses to take 4 or not. Alright, so they decided to take 4 here. Sure. Does keep us from deploying an Eidolon this turn, but gets a mountain out of the deal. Unfortunately for our opponent, we can somewhat leverage black sources here. Depending on what our opponent plays here. This is some type of LD deck. Alright, sure. Well, Anger of the Gods is very unfortunate. I mean, this Goblin Guide's gotten in 4, that Goblin Guide's gotten in 2. So Show me anger of the gods. Yep. Really want to draw a land here. Interesting stuff you run into in 2-man queues. Come on, opponent. You know you're playing against a burn deck. It's not really rocket science what you should be trying to do here. Very tap landy. Another Anger of the Gods or another land destruction spell? Alright, sure. Really want to hit like our Bump of the Nights or just more lands. Alright. Alright, opponent, what you got? Pass turn. See if our opponent starts firing up these, Sure. What a miserable, miserable game of Magic. Alright, so our opponent's on a swamp-based attack on our mana base. Okay, good to know. So, want this Sovereign's Bite. You want these Skull Cracks, since they're slightly less intensive on our mana. Possibly Dark Confidants. Get these Searing Blazes out of here. Probably Become Immense out of here. Question is, do we want something like Fatal Push? Probably not. Get as many black spells in our deck as possible. Try to punish our opponent's particularly unique strategy. Try to slow down on how many double red cards are in our deck. There aren't too many decks that can leverage a huge amount of black mana, though. That's pretty easy mulligan. Well, got us a hand, I guess. Bottom not looking for a land. Okay, opponent gets a Raging Ravine. Land, please. It's got some decisions to make this turn, I would presume. Normally I wouldn't like Dark Confidant on this style of matchup, but I really just need to draw more lands. So, see what our opponent does here. Fatal Push, or is this some type of LD spell? Sure. Not going to deploy any more creatures in the face of this, just going to hold up Skullcrack. That way if they want to use a sweeper, they'll go to 9 and then to 6. Opponent is taking forever with their decisions. Alright. Feels like an anger of the gods. Yep. Alright, so evidently they have an answer to this. Still know you have a foiled mountain in hand. What on earth is this? Bloodbraid Elf. Okay, into Pyroclasm. Which ironically doesn't do anything here. Alright, put the 2 here, and then you have to answer both Vexing Devil and Not Be Dead to Sovereign's Bite. Now you have Foiled Mountain in hand, why are you not playing that? Okay. Sure. I mean, it's so tempting to bring in these destructive revelries, right? But I don't think it's the right call. So we'll just go with what we got. Sure, keep us in. Seems pretty reasonable. Fight alone. Presumably you'll have some type of answer to this. Probably like Anger of the Gods or something here. Pyroclasm, sure. Let's pass here. No reason to crack our fetch line right now. It's a lot of LD spells, friend. So basically you're dead here. So I'm playing an interesting build of LD. Alright, so unfortunately, because we were playing against a very weird land destruction deck, we're only going to be able to get the one match quickly in here, but thoughts on the deck so far? It's certainly an interesting build. I think the biggest problem is going to be against other creature-heavy decks. Obviously, we have a lot of straight burn to the face. The nice thing is this particular version of burn is not as vulnerable to worship because the lose life clause. So there's a couple of things I'm kind of digging about this list. I don't know if it's actually better than traditional burn, but there's a couple things in this list that I'm certainly digging. The Sovereign's Bites, like, just the lack of damage to creature spells is a problem. Like, we only have 8 in the main deck. I mean, after sideboard we have Pushes and Bloods. I'm trying to think. I have a Naya burn list running around here. Don't think I actually have a burn list floating around on here right now. It's unfortunate because I wanted to compare it to one of my regular burn lists. I do not, unfortunately. But I think my regular burn list has access to Bolt, Blaze, Helix, and Rift Bolt against regular creatures. So I'm sure there are certain matchups that's going to be an issue. But then post-board configurations with those lists, I can go up to... Yeah, there's a lot of things. I was trying out some weird stuff. Usually I have like Grim Lavamancer in a list like this too. So there's a lot of things like in the sideboard and the main deck and stuff that can get switched around. So this is definitely an experimental version of Burn that's kind of a melding of what Foz likes in his lists and what I like in my Burn list to an extent. So we'll see how that goes. But this has been Dust for Dusted on Gaming with Sovereign Burn.